The race is on to determine the next leader of the Texas House of Representatives. On Thursday, one Republican House member launched his bid to challenge Speaker of the House Dade Phelan.
That's Dr. Tom Oliverson, and he promised major changes to how state government runs at the Capitol.
I'm announcing my candidacy for Speaker of the House.
Cypress Republican Tom Oliverson, the first to signal a sea change in the Texas House, challenging Republican Speaker Dade Phelan as Phelan faces a daunting runoff.
The dysfunction in the Texas House during 2023 highlights the need for a change at the Capitol.
His top priority, school choice. Governor Abbott's push to subsidize private school tuition, which failed to pass the House last year.
You need to say, if that bill doesn't pass, I'm not signing another bill all session.
That one issue has become the rallying cry for conservatives pushing to take the House farther to the right, like Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who led the Senate in passing school choice bills multiple times last year.
But as long as the Democrats have control of the Texas House on key issues, it will never be easy, and that's why we are where we are today.
Speaker Phelan has led the House to pass some of the most conservative laws in Texas history: the abortion ban, permitless carry of handguns, bans on DEI programs, and more. But his adherence to tradition in appointing some Democrats to chair committees and his lukewarm stance on school choice has turned conservatives against him. He told us in a statement Thursday, "As Speaker, I'm focused on winning these races, getting our team over the finish line, and ensuring we start the session united and ready to deliver another banner conservative session for Texans. That's the job of the Texas Speaker." But whose job it will be is an open question now. We want to take a deeper dive into what's at stake in the race for Speaker. So joining us now is politics reporter Jasper Scherer. You know him from the Houston Chronicle, but he just picked up a big new role at the Texas Tribune. Jasper, thanks for joining us.
For having me on.
So first and foremost, Jasper, I do think actually a lot of Texans don't even necessarily understand what the Speaker's role is in the Texas House. How could a change in this leadership affect public policy?
Yeah, I think the Speaker is one of the more influential lawmakers in the whole state, but they're elected in their one of 150 House districts, so it's just a small slice of the state that is probably even aware of who the current House Speaker Dade Phelan is. The implications for it'll essentially the Speaker decides what sort of bills reach the floor, kind of the flow of legislation in the House. They have a lot of power to hold up stuff that they don't like or to make sure policies they support see the light of day. So, what's kind of at stake here is the chamber could move significantly to the right if Speaker Phelan, who's sort of in the kind of mainstream sort of establishment Republican camp, if he gets unseated in favor of somebody who's taxed a little bit farther to the right, we could see if you can believe it, even more conservative policy coming out of Texas.
Because he has passed a lot of conservative legislation under his watch.
No doubt.
Near total ban on abortion, a lot of these border security measures. So.
Permitless carry of handguns, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's kind of an open question of how much further can the House and can the legislature as a whole even go. So I think it's going to be how much further can they take things that they've already implemented. I'm not sure how much new policy ground there is to trod. So, I think some of it is kind of TBD at this point.
It seems like this election may turn on whether the candidate would appoint Democratic chairs, right? Speaker Phelan could get reelected if he can continue appointing Democratic chairs, keeping that coalition with only a few Republicans. Oliverson would have to do it with only Republican votes. Yeah. What path do you think is more likely given the politics of the House right now?
It's a good question. It could be sort of a third option, someone who's stakes out a ground that's a little bit to the right of Phelan, can maybe still attract Democratic support. If you're purely just looking at Oliverson and Phelan, I would think that it's going to be hard for Phelan to attract, if it's a question of those two, I would say Democrats would still lean toward Phelan, of course. Yeah. But I just don't know if it seems like he has lost quite a bit of confidence in the House, and there are going to be at least some members who are looking for a new option. I don't think Oliverson will end up being the only candidate to run, though, so we'll see.
Leads into my next question. Any other names you've been hearing thrown around? We heard Representative James Frank from Wichita Falls as a possible contender. Yeah,
I've also heard James Frank. I think Dustin Burrows, who's kind of a top lieutenant of Speaker Phelan. he always is kind of in the mix. Just he's held high-ranking positions in House leadership for a number of sessions now, and I think it's kind of going to be a matter of people who have done as little as possible to upset the smallest number of people. I think the votes on private school vouchers are kind of a big litmus test. It's going to be hard to see a speaker come out who hasn't supported that policy.
But it's a long road ahead. Remember, this isn't even happening until January, this speaker election. So
and we got to see if Phelan
change.
survives his primary runoff. So
Right.
Exactly, that's the X factor. I mean, that is by no means certain.
Yeah.
Jasper Scherer from the Texas Tribune, really appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
It's like the Wild West on this right now. It's good to get organized early around this.
Regulating AI in Texas. Lawmakers and experts form a new advisory council, who they're hearing from, and how the process could shape how the state uses artificial intelligence.